Yeah, also good morning from Hugo and me. We want to talk today about how to accelerate future mobility together in an ecosystem and what the problem of optimization plays in that area. So, and when you look at the current problems, and Francesca has told us a lot of them about climate change, pollution, congestion, future mobility, electrical car, and all these kinds of challenges in the ecosystem, how technology can support. And when we look at different cities, and I think we heard this topic also yesterday and today. I lived in Paris for a while, and mobility there is completely different, like in Tokyo, Hugo, where we have been in July with our headquarter team. Please share a bit about what Tokyo shows us about mobility and why this is different.
So I think we have the advantage of actually being a Japanese company, and working with the Japanese companies and working with the cities in like Tokyo, for example, you're working in a dimension that actually is still some of our cities will maybe get there, or maybe the question, like we heard yesterday, do we really want to get there? We're talking about a city of 13 million people, where you have a metro system that transports 8 million people a day. So if you compare that, for example, with the city of Berlin, you could put the whole city in the metro and still you have 50% almost empty. So these are dimensions that are quite difficult to deal with. So with Fujitsu, we had the advantage of actually being able to work with some customers, like of course in the automotive space where I come from, or my focus, but also like at the city level as well. So we work with the taxi companies as well. And we've been helping to optimize the movement between the cities of citizens, goods, and whatnot. One of the examples that I find quite funny is you have now Tokyo Olympics starting next year. And Tokyo, because it needed to make space open for all the people joining the Tokyo Olympics, asked like workers to work from home. And if you've been in Japan working with traditional companies, it's not very common to do teleworking, and that's something that they want to change. But I don't think this is like with car sharing, which is something that adds on top of those types of networks, that actually gives some additive capacity, but it's not always like so simple to get things running, right? So I think we've seen some examples also from Japan. You have one there, Christoph, that you actually pulled out of the newspaper.
Yeah, because I think the point that you need also a profitable business case behind that for all these companies who work in, is an important one. And we have Mazda, for example, in Germany, stopping the car sharing services. And when you dig deeper into it, you see that it's, for example, that the cars look very ugly after every usage, that it's very difficult to provide really a good customer experience, that you have to take a lot of efforts to clean the cars, to look that they're always in the right status, that the next customer can have, again, a good customer experience.
Correct.
Yeah, and this operator's perspective, I think, is a very important one. Not only the customer experience, because to provide that, you need also a good, efficient operations behind that.
That's
and I think as a result of that, you see also a lot of companies joining forces, like BMW and Daimler, combining all their efforts in the MyTaxi and Drive Now area, and offer now jointly these kind of services, because also size matters in that area to get profitable.
Absolutely.
And from our perspective, we think there are three areas where optimization is really necessary. The customer experience, I think we heard a lot, especially yesterday, how to bring new services to our citizens, to all these users in the mobility system, multimodal transport, etc. On the other hand, we need these ecosystems of partnerships between companies, with cities, with all these new startups providing great technology and great kind of services. And last but not least, you have as the bottom line of that, you definitely have these efficient operations. And I think in there, technology can also play an important role to make these operations better, to combine all these massive amounts of data you generate in these ecosystems and to bring them intelligently together. And what is important, to bring these together in a way that you can use them not only minutes, hours, or days later, because you have then looked retrospectively at the data, but to apply them real time, to really real time optimize the ecosystem.
So I think you were talking a little bit about optimizing the system itself, the bottom line, but it's also about the user experience, right? So I think that's something also we want to focus on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And user experience is then generated that, for example, I get my car-sharing car or in the future some autonomous robotaxis in time that I need, let's say, maximum of 2 minutes waiting time until I have my car available. So, but this is a big challenge to all these operators, to have these cars exactly at the right area in the city where the highest demand will be. But this is not static.
No.
Yeah, this is a very dynamic way. Yeah, how people behave in city, how many parameters like weather, events, traffic, and so on play in that area. And Hugo, perhaps you can talk a bit about how we can support this real-time challenge.
So, if you go to the next slide, maybe. One of the things that we're actually working on, the slide doesn't show much, but it has one part of the picture I want to relate to. But the thing is, part of what I think Francesca said, and many of the other speakers yesterday, is you need to build systems that react dynamically to your maybe weather conditions, maybe events in the city, maybe even like just updating like your car sharing network. Some of the work we're doing using quantum computing technology or digital annealing technology, which you see one of the chipsets is there just to you could talk with us out there when you will do more detailed analysis about it. But here what I wanted to say, if you think about all these dimensions of data, the main problem is that you have a problem that scales extremely fast. So even for a car sharing platform that needs to manage, for example, hundreds of vehicles in a city, it's already tough to build like a system that will be able to deal with the combinatorial challenge of actually combining. And this, you might think, okay, we're just optimizing for price maybe, or just like the normal operations. But you want to keep on doing like planning to say, for example, where should I put my vehicles during the week? Where does it make sense where I know there will be demand generated by some events or whatever? And that we can do by using this very advanced computing. One of the examples, unfortunately, I would love to show more examples exactly in this space. We're currently working on it, and we have some results will come out. But one of the examples we did with a large OEM in Germany, actually more of them, is actually to optimize the routes, which we're talking about here, of the whole city. One of the examples I love saying is when you have a navigation system that says, okay, there's traffic congestion in front of you, go to that city, to that street, actually says the same thing to all cars that are using the same navigation system. So you need to be able to manage the whole network and actually start manipulating and guiding traffic across the city. Think about things, autonomous driving, we've been talking about before in some of the presentations. Wouldn't it be good, just like a ship when it goes back to a port, that it gives over to the port authority, drive me to the congestion or to the difficulties you have in the harbor? I think in the future you'll see more and more technologies like this that we're doing. But going back to example, I wanted to say, and to get a little bit the dimension where quantum computing can give you a little bit of an accelerated result, and it's all about speed. We were able to accelerate up to 700% by comparable HPC-based solutions to get to that speed. Right? So, and I think that's part of the things we're always talking about is if you don't have speed and in a real-time scenario, you need to be fast to recalculate and adjust your environment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you then look, if you take then variables and parameters into account to say, okay, I have a fleet of electrical cars, yeah, I need to clean them,
Yes.
I need to charge them.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I have maintenance windows. Yeah, and how do I combine that with the demand of my customers? Yeah,
absolutely.
To have the highest possible utilization, because this adds to my business case as a provider. Yeah. On the other hand, to to maintain this great customer experience.
Yeah. I think that example that I think you like to say about
absolutely.
Where you have, for example, usually a car sharing platform, let's say the city of Munich, you might want to have on most of the cars at the airport on Monday in the morning, but it might be like a football club is playing something.
It's the wrong city for my favorite first football club, but you're right. Normally you say, okay, there's this football match, and I need in a static model, I know when this match ends, I need these cars there. But then, it's a prolongation, you have then a penalty shootout, and it needs 1 hour longer.
And that's the point.
How to use this window.
Absolutely. This point is exactly what we're talking about. This is why you need speed, computing speed, to recalculate models, to build networks of models that you try to build all these constraints of variables, and then try to build like those and react on real time, right? So in that game, if there's like a Verlängerung, so what do you call penalty, then you know that people will take longer, and maybe you want to reposition those cars in a different place or sometime.
So and with our technology, which is in fact a system built on a chip, it's called digital annealing unit. You see it there on the picture. And for the Germans in the room, DAO is meant digital annealing unit, not the other meaning we have in IT in Germany, where this is dümmster anzunehmender User for the Germans in the room. But this is exactly where we can really do calculations for complex optimization problems, which are taking in normal infrastructures minutes or hours. We can calculate this in less than a second today.
And I think this is an important topic. I just want to emphasize this. When you read about quantum computing, a lot of the investments you've been doing there are on the research side. So you expect to have fully functional quantum computings in the next up to 20 years. But currently there are technologies, and the way you deal with these problems are already quantum proof. So you can do this with technology like ourselves, and whatever you invest today, you can do it today. This is available for consumption today. You actually are prepared for when the time comes when quantum computing is ready. So it's future-proof. It's something that you need to do. You're dealing with high-dimensional problems, and I can tell you, like, when you talk with customers, I guess like cities will be the same. They're like a list of problems that they are not able to solve, and with this type of technology, we could.
And with Fujitsu, we really want to accelerate with this technology, but also with our experience in working with OEMs and cities in Japan for decades. We are working with a lot of cities in Germany currently, and also with the OEMs, to bring also our ecosystem together and to solve these optimization problems, and provide a lot of technology also in the areas of sensors, city surveillance, artificial intelligence, and bring them together to build this new kind of mobility that puts also the human into the center, and human-centric is our global vision of Fujitsu. And we want to invite you also to our booth, where you can be part of that future mobility. We have a trick art installation there, where you can get your photo exactly into that picture we see here, and where we can discuss how you can also support to this ecosystem, and how we can accelerate in real time future mobility. Thank you.
Okay.